Hello guys, welcome to KR Sports. We're taking over DR. No more is DR. Dad, I'm taking over your channel. AGT isn't here for unforeseen circumstances, but I shall be taking over. But before we get into that, welcome to Live at 5, transfers, drama, and now your survival instincts get tested. It's time for final one standing. It's free to play, there's a 500k jackpot, there's no admin fees, and there's guaranteed winners. Just every week, pick one Premier League team to win, and if they do, you're through. If they lose or they draw, you're out. So now, download the William Hill app, scan the QR code on the screen, and click the link below to enter. Register for free. Make your pick for a shot at £500,000. You have to be 18 plus and it's only available in the UK. And remember to always gamble responsibly, and the full T's and C's apply, and all are linked down below. Right, let's get into the show. There's quite a bit to talk about, and we wanted to do a bit of a cheeky, different kind of feel to the show today. But where do we even start? What should we start with? I don't know. I see people talking about, let's talk about Benjamin Sesko, because he's been someone that, as an Arsenal fan, I've been hearing about for over a year. But now Man United and Newcastle are super interested in this guy. And we're now hearing today that he's more leaning towards Man United. That's his priority. And, you know, to be fair, I guess going to Man United is a massive move. I know they've not had the season that they probably would have wanted, but to go there to be the leading man for Man United, that's a massive thing. And, you know, he's probably also looking at it like, right, him and his agent kind of failed the Arsenal move. Why not get myself just another as big move to Man United if he can, and get into the Premier League, because that's kind of what he wants to do. And as well, Newcastle are hot on his tracks. And it's believed that RB Leipzig have dropped his asking price from 90 million euros down to 60 mil, which I think that's a good price for someone like Benjamin Sesko. I mean, he's someone that is being spoken about in terms of he's almost the next big thing. He's the next big striker. He's the next almost Erling Haaland. That's how people speak about him. He's super tall. His ball striking is fantastic. He's great in the air. But there is also questions in terms of his output. I mean, I think last season he scored 13 goals in the league, which is a really good return, but we obviously want to see more of that, and it's more of whether he can replicate that in the league. But where's he going to end up? I don't know if you guys in the chat want to say where you think he'll end up, whether you think it'll be Newcastle. I don't know if we can get a poll, actually. Newcastle, Man United. I mean, we're hearing that Man United are essentially leading the race. And if you're a Newcastle fan, that's probably not what you want to hear, considering all the Isak news, just their window in general. But I don't know how I feel about Sesko to United. I think he would suit how they play. I mean, he's a player where, as I said, he's really good in the air. He's got really good ball striking. He's very tall. He's very fast. I do think he would suit Man United very well. It's just, do Man United want to take a gamble on another young player that still needs a lot of time to maybe develop and prove themselves? Like, going to Man United, whether we like it or not, it's a high pressurised environment. It doesn't matter if Man United are first in the table or if they're fighting relegation like they were last season. It's still a big club. It's still a club with a lot of expectations. And we look at, I'm not saying he's anywhere near this level, obviously, but we look at Rasmus Højlund, who also came in as this young player that's one for the future, one that needs to be developed and given time. He was basically brought in as, right, we're going to make you the guy. You're going to be the guy that's going to lead the line every week. And it's not really worked out in the way that Man United fans or the club probably have foreseen. So is maybe throwing Benjamin Sesko into that high pressurised environment where he's still very young. I want to say he's like 22. Like, throwing him into that, is that maybe the right thing to do? I mean, is it better maybe to say, right, you get a Sesko and maybe a Ollie Watkins, for example, who's also being looked at by Man United, and say, right, Ollie Watkins, he's got the experience, he's much older, he can take the pressure of such a big move. I don't know, it's really hard to say. I don't know what everyone else thinks. This one person says, Sesko suits Man United. Besides, we need Man United to take points of Liverpool and City. Come on, you cunners. Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, I don't know, man. I do think it's a good move. He's a good young player. He's one for the future. And I do think Man United are in this period where they're kind of strapped for cash in terms of they know that they can't spend as much as a Man City, a Liverpool and Arsenal at the moment because of just how bad their league form's been. They've got no Europe. They're trying to get off these big players basically off their wage bill. I mean, they've done really well by getting off Marcus Rashford, but only for a season, and that really depends on if he does well at Barca. But there's still Jadon Sancho. Do you know what I mean? There's still Garnacho that they want to try and offload. There's still people like Casemiro, who is actually very old and probably should only be a squad player, but for the amount of money he makes each week, that's a really high, issue to deal with. So, I mean, they're not a club that can just right now say, right, here's this, here's that. But I don't know. I think Benjamin Sesko to Man United would be a good deal. So I'm going to rate it. I'm going to do a little cheeky rate. I'm going to rate it a good signing. I think, you know what? He's a young up-and-coming player, Slovenian international. He's one to watch for the future. I think he would really suit the style of play of Man United. And I think as well, you know what? If you consider they've got Mbeumo, who can also play second striker to Sesko, he won't feel as maybe stressed or in such a stressful environment, knowing that there's actually Premier League proven players around him that can support him. So yeah, I'm going to say good signing. Ronnie Dodge says United basically nicked Newcastle's planned front three. Oh my God, that's so true. In fact, let's talk about Newcastle, because obviously they're linked to Benjamin Sesko as well, but it's been an awful window for them. They've missed out, as Ronnie Dodge says, they missed out on Cunha and Mbeumo. It looks like they're going to miss out on Wissa, Ekatike, someone they've been chasing since 2022. Who else? They're potentially going to lose Isak, which we're going to talk about soon. João Pedro, they've missed out on. They've had a shocker of a window. Honestly, it's really weird to see a club have such an incredible season and their follow-up window is this shocking. Genuinely, it's so like, if you had said to Newcastle fans, right, you're going to win something for the first time in 70 years. You're going to have an incredible season. You're going to get in the Champions League again. But it means in the window, you're potentially going to lose your best player in Alexander Isak, and you're going to miss out on all of your targets. That is crazy. That is actually insane. And this is why, you know what, I did say to, I think when I did show previously with AGT, with Jack, like, this is no disrespect to Newcastle. They are a big club. But the reality is clubs like Man United, clubs like Liverpool, clubs like Man City, Arsenal, Spurs, they could literally, they have the pull. When those clubs come around, when they knock, players have to answer. And that's why we're seeing now Alexander Isak is saying, oh, actually, I do want to go Liverpool. Do really like that. That sounds really exciting, because these are clubs that, unfortunately for Newcastle, have had such a long time at the top half of the table that they've become household names, that they are able to draw away such players. But it is a massive loss for Newcastle. I mean, if they're to lose Alexander Isak, who apparently has agreed personal terms according to Plettigol. Now, take from that what you want. Florian Plettenberg, he works for Sky Sports in Germany. I mean, that's quite a reasonable source, and you would think that, considering that he wants to leave Newcastle, how he's kind of said so far to Eddie Howe and the club, you know what, I do actually want to explore my options. It would be very easy for Liverpool to agree personal terms with him, but it's more of the fee. How much is it going to cost? I mean, Liverpool did put down 130 mil. It was rejected. Are we going to see more? I mean, it's going to be, we got to see what happens. But for Newcastle, I mean, they're not having a really good time at the moment. But someone they have been able to get, someone who did play for my club, Aaron Ramsdale. They've been able to get Aaron Ramsdale on a heavy loan fee, says David Ornstein, and Newcastle will be covering the salary. I mean, this one does throw me a bit, because from what I know, Nick Pope is still there, obviously. Dubravka's still there. I think they've got 2 other goalkeepers as well. I don't really understand why Aaron Ramsdale was purchased. Well, not purchased because he's a loan at the moment, but I don't really understand why he's been brought in. From what I know, maybe Newcastle don't necessarily need depth in that area. And I do also think, is Aaron Ramsdale, as of right now, a clear upgrade on Nick Pope and Dubravka? I'm not 100% sure. I think Nick Pope is a fantastic shot stopper, and I would say Aaron Ramsdale's distribution is quite good. But I do think where Aaron Ramsdale lacks, Nick Pope adds up for, and where Nick Pope lacks, Aaron Ramsdale adds up for. Like, it's not very, I don't look at it like this is a clear upgrade. This is someone where I'm like, oh, okay, I understand. This is the guy that's coming in for the number one spot. You know, I mean, from Aaron Ramsdale's side, going to Newcastle, it's a big club. You're going to potentially be playing in the Champions League. You're going to potentially be playing in the League, Carabao Cup, FA Cup, especially considering that Southampton were relegated. I mean, I don't know. I'm a bit like this. I don't want to call it a bad signing, but I just think based on what Newcastle are going for at this moment in time, is it necessary to get a goalkeeper? Was that high on your list? Was that something? I don't know if Newcastle fans want to say in the chat if that's something they needed, but I don't know. It's just, I mean, this one guy says, guess who signed Ramsdale for Bournemouth and developed him for high profit? Eddie Howe. It makes total sense. I hear what you're saying, but do Newcastle fans need a goalkeeper? I don't really know. I mean, obviously I don't watch Newcastle week in, week out, but do they need a goalkeeper? You're about to lose your striker, essentially. That's where I think, you know, the Newcastle board should be saying, right, that's what we're going for. We're going to get the striker. We're going to get winger depth for Anthony Gordon, Jacob Murphy, add on someone else to Elanga and Asula. Do you know what I mean? They maybe could be looking at other options, really, than goalkeeper. I mean, it might be business they might need to do, but is it something that is pressing as much as a striker? I don't know, man. I really don't know. But for them at the moment, it's becoming a bit of a testy window. But speaking of goalkeepers, we've got James Trafford as well. He's gone to Man City on a £31 million fee, which now makes it the highest ever fee for a British goalkeeper. At first, I didn't really understand it. I was like, okay, I thought Jordan Pickford was about 30 mil, but with the add-ons and everything, it kind of makes sense as to why now I understand now why he's the most expensive British goalkeeper. But for Man City, I think that's good business. I mean, James Trafford obviously was in their academy. He's someone who's young, upcoming. He had an incredible season at Burnley. I can't remember how many clean sheets he had, but it was something incredible. And I do think, you know what, bringing him back, it's good depth. He's one for the future. He's been given the number one shirt from what I can remember as well. And in retaliation to that, they've said to Ortega, look, you're open to look at other clubs. You're open to, you know, see where your future is. Who's actually also another good goalkeeper that Man City have. But now that James Trafford is here, is it necessary to hold on to him? Probably not. And you know what? Getting James Trafford in, I'm not against that. He's one for the future. He's going to be England number one potentially one day. And as well for him, he can, you know, carry on developing. He's going to be back at Man City, winning high honours, being in the Champions League, playing in the Cups. And as well, you're going to be playing with the best coach and some of the best players in the world. So it's kind of a no-brainer. I definitely do think this is a good signing. I 100% rate it. And, you know, I think these days getting a modern goalkeeper is very hard. And I think, you know, you look at some teams that have a really all-around good squad, but maybe they're lacking in that goalkeeper area. Man City have just now, you know, done really smart business, gone and got back someone that they know really well of, is already adored quite well by English press because he's English, and we can see the potential of him already. And again, this is another player that Newcastle completely missed out on, despite the fact that they were running the race for him. It's I don't know, man. Newcastle, I feel a bit sorry for them at the moment, to be honest, but it is smart business from Man City and Pep. But yeah, let's go over to Chelsea. Jorell Hato of Ajax is getting really, really close. You know what, as an Arsenal fan, this is someone that we were also linked with for a very long time. He's a very good defensive left back. I think as well he can play centre back as well if necessary. And I think with Chelsea, look, people will be like, well, they've got Cucurella, but if Cucurella, God forbid, was to get injured, now they have someone of depth. Now they have someone really good to call up upon. And I think one thing Chelsea have really suffered with in recent times whilst they've been under Todd Bowley is defensive signings. They've gone and got Badashile. Has it really worked? Not really sure. They've gone and got Wesley Fofana, who is really good, but has a lot of injury issues. Axel Disasi is just not of the level that they need. He went out on loan to Villa. We saw he wasn't great, let's put it like that. He was moved out to right back as well. Shows he's not comfortable there. So I think go in and get Jorell Hato, who's a young, upcoming fullback, someone who's really highly rated. He plays under 23s for the Netherlands. Is pivotal for Ajax. I mean, I think that's a really good signing. It's supposed to be about 40 million euros. I mean, I think that's really good. And this is another young player that's for the future for their team, someone that's going to be around for the next 4 to 5 years at very best, knowing Chelsea. They'll get him on a good long contract as well. So, I mean, I'm quite jealous of that. That's really good. And, you know, I think in the way that football's played today, especially Chelsea, they want to play very attacking. At most, they are really a back three. So knowing that you can have someone who's young, you can depend on him defensively, I think that's a really good signing. So I'm going to say good signing. I want to say in pounds, that's about £35 million. I'm not sure, but I think that's a really good signing from Chelsea. And I think, you know what, they've got a really young team that, you know, they've blown us away in the Club World Cup when no one expected them to win it. Look how fantastic they were against PSG. They're going into the season really strong. They've added in the likes of João Pedro, Liam Delap, Gittins, who I personally haven't seen much of, but supposed to be really exciting. Who else am I missing? Esteval. I mean, it's fantastic. If they can also get in Jorell Hato, that would be great. And on top of that, they want to go get Xavi Simons, who I think is absolutely great. I mean, he can play multiple positions, midfield, in the front three. He's dependable. He's really young. I mean, what he's done for Leipzig, great. I mean, I know PSG didn't really work out maybe the way he wanted, but I think, you know what? This is a really good signing. And for Xavi Simons, he's rumoured to be about 60 million euros. I personally think that is a really, really good signing. Because again, God forbid Cole Palmer gets injured, you've got no one of a similar ilk to step into his shoes. And I think, you know what, if Cole Palmer wasn't around or if he had to miss games due to injury or fatigue, you could depend on Xavi Simons to do a really good job. We've seen it already. We see it for the Netherlands. He's fantastic. I really like it. So I'm also going to give that a good signing. I think that's great. I mean, I don't know what the chat's saying, but maybe say in the chat what you think. So, this poll. So where will Sesko end up? So 2% said PSG, 3% said Saudi, 39% said Newcastle, 53% say Man United. I think at this moment in time he'll go Man United. I think it's a good price. That's probably about 50 to 55 million pounds. That's a good price for someone like Benjamin Sesko. Like I said, is upcoming, really good, you know. And I just think the way Newcastle have been operating in the window, I just think they're probably, unfortunately, going to miss out on this, which is very sad. I mean, Lord Bielsa says Newcastle are flopping. I mean, yeah, it is quite sad, but you know, it's one of them ones really. But I do think he'll probably end up at Man United, and I just think the pool and the club that Man United is, it's not something that you turn down. You don't say no to Man United almost. It's a club that you can't ignore. You have to go to. I think it's fantastic. Toby says Chelsea are having a good window. I agree. You know what? Getting Liam Delap for the fee that they got him for, fantastic. I mean, thinking about how Liam Delap was £30 million, scored 10 league goals, I think. And considering he was playing for Ipswich, a relegation team, really good. One to watch for England as well. I think that's a really good investment. And, you know, it's good striker depth. They've not gone maybe for what usual Chelsea might have been, which is gone for the really big flashy name. They've gone for maybe the young player, but a young player that's done it in a league and knows that his output is good and they can depend on him. And I think in that Chelsea team, he'll score more goals. If he's scoring 10 in Ipswich's team, what's to say he can't score 13 to 15 in Chelsea's team, where I think Chelsea last season was one of the highest scoring teams in the league. I want to say in the top 3. So, I mean, getting Gittins in, I don't really know much about Gittins, but great dribbler, great carrier of the ball, very exciting. Esteval, very exciting. Who else? João Pedro, we saw him in the Club World Cup, incredible, scores in the semi-final and the final, which is an incredible way to make your debut for such a big club. I mean, it's really, really good business. And I think Chelsea now have kind of cracked that way to move in the market. In the beginning, so many people laughed at them. It was like, oh, they're buying all these young players that are unproven. Most of them haven't worked out and they've got them on these long contracts. Look at this player, look at that player. But it's actually worked out really well for them at the moment. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. I think Chelsea this season, I have a sneaky feeling they're going to have a really good season. I do think they're going to win something, if I'm being honest. And I do think they'll be in the top 5 for sure. I'd be really shocked if they're not. But the way they're operating right now is wild. Toby says Santos coming in as a good midfield cover along with Lavia. Yeah, exactly. We forget about Lavia, who's someone who's had those injury issues, but again, so good. Like, think about that Chelsea midfield, what it could be. Caicedo, Enzo, Cole Palmer. Caicedo, Lavia, Cole Palmer. Enzo, Lavia, Cole Palmer, Xavi Simons. Like, there's so many different rotations you could put in there. There's even players that we don't even really think about that they've bought as depth. Like, Kieran Dewsbury-Hall is actually a decent player, someone who can maybe come in and do a job. Like, there's so many options for Chelsea at the moment. It's actually really good for them. It's peak. I'm not gonna lie. But you see that Matisse, yeah. In fact, guys, for anybody that doesn't know, Matisse is my frenemy on this channel. Matisse, don't let me catch you this. The way Matisse has been talking about my team, talking about Chelsea, Matisse, you must deliver. You must deliver. The way he's been talking, don't let me catch you out. Uncle, you got a bet with Uncle Oz, you best cough up the peas. That's all I'm going to say. But you know what? Speaking of around that area, Fulham are becoming Arsenal 2.0. I don't know what it is with Fulham, but they just love an Arsenal player. They've got Emil Smith-Rowe, they've got Iwobi, they had Reece Nelson. Now they really want to go back for Reece Nelson. I mean, for me, as an Arsenal fan, Reece is a player that is... He's well loved by Arsenal fans. He's the star boy before the star boy. He was the Saka before the Saka. Someone that we all thought, right, this guy's got a really high ceiling, can play left wing, can play right wing. He was really good. I thought as well, he came on the other day in pre-season. He looked really good. He looked so sharp. But his career at Arsenal it's just long gone. Like, the unfortunate truth is it's kind of passed him by, and he's not really gonna get the chance at Arsenal, especially right now where it's a really high pressurized situation. And as well, Reece deserves to start. And he went to Fulham, did really well, but then had a really bad injury. I think he tore his hamstring, which is crazy because so many other Arsenal players also did that. And now Fulham are really interested in signing him, but don't really want to commit to buying him. Now, if I'm being honest, I kind of get it. Like, do you want to take a gamble on someone that you only kind of saw for about 12 games? Looked really good in those 12 games, did really well, but he only played 12 games out of 38 in the league. We're not even considering League Cup games and FA Cup games, and I'm pretty sure Fulham got to the quarterfinals of the FA Cup. So I think, where Palace beat them, was that semi-final or quarter-final? Someone wants to remind me, but I just think, you know what, I do think from them it is probably smart to try and get a loan option for him, and that's what Arsenal are saying. Arsenal saying, look, you're either going to loan him at a high fee with an obligation or a buy option, or you're going to buy him. And you know what, I hear it. Arsenal need money. Well, not necessarily, but they've got a lot of people to sell, a lot of kind of deadwood in the squad that they want to get rid of. Reece Nelson is regarded as one of those options. I mean, I think Fulham would suit him really well. He said it's been rumoured before that he wants to stay in London. I mean, why not? Fulham is a really good club. It's a historical club as well. he would be in London. He would still be playing against, the Premier League's elite, and he would be starting for Fulham. So I do think it's a really good move for him, but let's see what happens. And then speaking of, they also want Zinchenko. You know what? We'll do a cheeky little deal for you. We'll sort it out, since Fulham and Arsenal have such a good relationship. We've got so many players amongst each other. I mean, I generally think Zinchenko would be a great signing. And I know a lot of people will be like, what? He can't defend, he can't do this. I think people need to remember Zinchenko is actually a midfielder. He's an attacking midfielder. He's really good. I really like him. And I think, you know what? In that Fulham team, I think he could do really well. He's got good energy. He'd bring really good things to their squad. I just think, why not? I mean, it's rumoured that Arsenal want and would accept around £50 million for him, which again is a good amount of money. The only thing I would say for Fulham is wages. I mean, he is a high wage earner at Arsenal. I can't remember off the top of my head how much he earns, but obviously earning at Arsenal and earning at Fulham is completely different. Do you know what I mean? But I do think this would be a good signing, and as well, he can play fullback. I mean, that's where the questions arise, whether defensively he can do a job defensively. It's worth getting someone like that where, defending is not his strong suit. He's only really good at going forward. But I think the way that Fulham play, I mean, Anthony Robinson's always getting really high up the pitch. If you could maybe put Zinchenko in that area, he would do really well for attacking wise. They might just have to tweak their back line a bit and say, right, Calvin Bassey, who plays next to Calvin Bassey? Anderson, you might have to sit a bit deeper. Like you might have to cover that area. You might have to say, whoever's playing in midfield in that area, say, right, you need to kind of swoop up a bit for Zinchenko, kind of similar to how Jordan Henderson did for Trent a lot of the time. So, I mean, Fulham, if you want to get Zinchenko, we will accept that. Zinchenko, he's someone that, as an Arsenal fan, I'm thankful for. He came in at a time where, he joined us when we just finished 5th. Nobody knew we was going to go on a title charge. No one knew how good we were, but he was so key to that team. The only issue was injuries. Injuries just saw us not even get to field that incredible Arsenal team as much as possible. But he was really good. And I do think, you know what, why not? He's a Ukrainian international. He's very experienced. He's a Premier League winner. He's won the FA Cup, Carabao Cup, etc. He's someone who's got the experience to add into the team and be really good. So, you know what? Why not? Why not? Ganto says, who's this Trent you speak of? Bro, do you know what, right? Obviously, I'm not a Liverpool fan, so I can't speak for Liverpool fans. But I think maybe in 5 years' time, you guys would have calmed down. You might feel a bit more relaxed about the Trent situation. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, I can't speak for Liverpool fans, but maybe you'll feel a bit more relaxed. So, I don't know, but I think Fulham for Zinchenko would be a really good signing. I think for £15 million, come on, that's good depth. You've got someone who's, experienced, as I said, won loads of stuff, really good. Why not? Why not go for it? Thomas Yates says, you're mad. And Kanto says, don't patronise me. Sorry, my bro. But you know what? Speaking of Arsenal links, Granit Xhaka has joined Sunderland. He's been announced today. He's done his medical. He's been signed for €20 million. I think that's an absolute steal. I think that's such good business. I mean, we're talking about someone who's, so experienced, Swiss international. What he's done at Arsenal, what he's done at Bayer Leverkusen, more so, incredible. And I just think, for Sunderland, I actually look at the league this season. I think this will be one of the first times in quite a while that a relegation team has a chance to stay up. I looked at last season, I knew Ipswich, I knew Southampton, I knew Leicester were going straight back down. Same with the season before that. I look at this season right, a lot of teams is very open at the moment. We don't know what's going to happen with Brentford. Brentford is a team where they're losing so many of their key players. If they were to lose Wirtz and Newcastle were able to get over the line, you start to look at that Brentford team and you go, right, they've lost their manager and Thomas Frank. They've lost Mbeumo. They've lost Wissa. Who else have they lost? They've lost Christian Norgard. I mean, that's a lot of players. And I do think, you know what, one of those relegation teams, if they can get their window right and they can get their style of play right, they actually have a chance to staying up. And I think, you know what, getting Granit Xhaka from Bayer Leverkusen for 20 million euros. I think that's absolutely fantastic business. I mean, he signed, yes, sorry, Alex says Brentford lost Flecken as well. I completely forgot about Flecken. I mean, there is a lot, there is a lot to be seen, and obviously we'll only know when the league starts. But I do think Sunderland, the way they're moving in this window is looking really good. They got Simon Adingra, they got that guy from Roma. I mean, they're on job. I mean, they're getting in some really good signings, some really interesting players. And I also think it's good for the league for Sunderland to stay. It's good for the league for Sunderland to actually be in the Premier League because of what they bring. They're a big club. Their derby with Newcastle is one of the best derbies in the league. We've been missing that for how many years now? So, I mean, Granit Xhaka, as an Arsenal fan, I can attest to how good Granit is. I think, you know what? The early days of his Arsenal career, he was misprofiled. He was put in a position that wasn't for him at all. He wasn't a DM. He was forced into that. That's why we saw silly red cards, moments of head loss or whatever. But then when he was actually played in his position, we're like, oh my God, this guy's scoring, he's assisting, he's doing all these great things, he's great at free kicks, and as well, he's a leader. He's someone that leads for his international team. He's led for Arsenal. He's been a pivotal figure for Bayer Leverkusen. He's incredibly intelligent. I do think for Sunderland, that is really, really good business. And as Alex says here, they want to get Mark Guy from Chelsea, who, again, that would be a really good signing. Now, I don't know if it would be a permanent, probably be a loan. But again, they need people to help them stay up. If you can just stay up in the Premier League, it doesn't matter. Don't worry about trying to be flashy and play all this fancy football, because when you look at it, that's what Russell Martin tried to do under Southampton, which completely ruined their Premier League campaign. Just, you know what, stay up, try and do your best. And I look at the Granit Xhaka signing and I'm like, that's really good business. I really, really, really like that. But I guess we'll have to see when it actually happens. But you know what, let's talk about Liverpool, because Liverpool... Bro, the way Liverpool have been moving in this window has been insane. Early windows, right? Florian Wirtz. I absolutely love Florian Wirtz. I remember doing a show on AFTV, and I think Turkish asked me, right, if you could just sign anyone, don't even worry about strikers and all that, who would it be? And I was like, I love Florian Wirtz. I just think he's so exciting. The way he plays. I mean, he scored today in their pre-season friendly, I think, against a Japanese team. But the way they've moved with intent. They've been fast. They've been direct. They're not playing games. They said, right, you know what? Spending-wise, they're so good, because last season they spent hardly anything. They got Chiesa in. They bought Marmashdashvili last season. But, they sent him back out on loan. I'm hearing that he got a £5,000 man of the match prize, Florian Wirtz. That's crazy. That's wild. That's actually insane. I mean, he's such a great player. I really like him. And then on top of that, they've gone and got Hugo Ekitike, who's, I know some Liverpool fans saw his 45 minutes and they were like, ooh. But you know what? You can't judge a player in pre-season. You just got to give him more time. Who's, again, a young, exciting, hungry striker. Look what he did for Frankfurt last season. And considering that he went to PSG, it didn't really work out, didn't get himself down, went and made a move for himself, was really good for Frankfurt. They've went and got him. And the way they did it, they just little boyed Newcastle, said, yo, you see that guy? We're taking him. Simple as that. Who else am I forgetting that they've gotten? I feel like I'm forgetting somebody else. The way that Kirkes, oh my God, Kirkes, great fullback, saw how well he was doing for Bournemouth. Frimpong, good. I mean, the only thing you could say about Frimpong is I personally don't really think Frimpong's a right back. He's more of a right wing back, right winger. But I do think the defence of Liverpool, when you've got Virgil van Dijk, when you've got Konate, if you can keep Konate fit in that team, and then maybe if you say to someone like Kirkes, right, because Frimpong's probably going to advance more, you probably say to Kirkes, right, maybe sit a bit deeper at times. But I just think the way they're moving is mad. And considering, they could go and get Alexander Isak. That is wild. That is insane. Like, it's scary hours for the league if that happens, and I genuinely think it is. I mean, we've seen today, Florian Plettenberg says he's agreed personal terms. I mean, Obviously, if you're a Newcastle fan, you don't want to hear that. But if you're a Liverpool fan, these are really exciting times. And you know what? I just think it would be such a great move. It would be good for the league. I know a lot of people would say, no, it's not. But you want to see teams be really competitive. You want to see big teams with really exciting players. And, you know, I think having Alexander Isak in that team would be fantastic. I mean, it's whether how much it's going to cost and whether Newcastle are going to accept it. I mean, there's been reports that Alexander Isak right now is AWOL. No one knows where he is. He left the tour early, and, you know, because he wants to explore his options. And Eddie Howe's very quickly gone from, I'm confident he's going to be with us, to I'm really not sure now. And I think, you know what? If they can get Alexander Isak in, you have to say, I mean, they already are favourites to win the league. I think they're how they were last season with literally only one signing, and that signing literally didn't even play that much. If they were to, considering all they've added onto that, they are favourites to go into that. But if they get Alexander Isak, it would be top. Like, it would be incredible for their club. So we got to see what happens. I mean, Newcastle turned down 130 mil. That's a lot of money. But Liverpool are saying, yo, man's got money. I don't care about unit. You want 130 mil? Hold that. 140, hold that. That's how they're moving. And you know what? I rate it so much. You just got to drop the money. If you want to win things, the reality is clubs that win things, they spend a lot of money. And you know what? For years, a lot of Newcastle fans, a lot of Liverpool fans have been very critical of the fact that, you know what? We don't FSG, they don't spend enough, they're very stingy, they don't really want to spend big lump sums. I mean, they bought Darwin Núñez, but that was kind of like the first time in a long time that they did a massive fee. Now we're seeing Liverpool say 100 mil on Wirtz. Take that. In fact, it's not even 100, it's 116 mil. 116 mil, hold. Alexander Isak, first bid 130 mil. That is crazy. That's insane. But what I would say to Liverpool fans is, I personally think Alexander Isak, definitely they should try and get him. But I think what a lot of fans are ignoring is centre-back depth. I just think, you know, we've heard all these Konate links to Real Madrid. Look, I'm in it with you as well. Do you know what I mean? My favourite player, one of the best centre-backs around. He's my guy, William Saliba. He's linked to Real Madrid as well. I feel your pain. I just think, you know what? Konate, he's not always fit. He's fantastic. If you can get him to commit, great. But I also do think they need a centre-back. You've sold Quansah now. Joe Gomez, he went on the pre-season tour. I think he has an Achilles injury, which is, you know, as someone that, one of my players did his Achilles last season, Martin Odegaard, he was just a shadow of himself. I think you definitely need to get a centre-back. I mean, we heard earlier in the window, Mark Gay, but that's gone really quiet. I do think if Liverpool can also get a centre-back in this window, they'll be looking extra strong. And then considering the amount of games that, you know, clubs like Liverpool, like Arsenal, like Man City are going to play, it's an unprecedented amount. We're going to be playing at the very least 58 games, considering all the competitions, the Champions League, which obviously now is a bigger format, you know, the league, the FA Cup, the Carabao Cup, you know, it's a lot. And then as well, considering the World Cup is very soon, a lot of these players got something to prove and they want to play. So I think for Liverpool, the way they're moving right now is just, it's insane. I'll be real. And one thing you got to big them up as well, the way they can sell players. Luis Diaz, they sold Luis Diaz. I want to say Luis Diaz is 27 years old. They sold him for 75 million euros. 75 million euros. That's about 65 million pounds. That is a really, really good price, if I'm being honest. I mean, you know what? They've gone and got this kid from Chelsea called Rio. I don't know how to say his last name, so I'm not going to butcher it. I'm not my dad. But they've gone and got this kid who looks so exciting. I think he scored today as well. He looks so good. And then as well, you've got Cody Gakpo that can play there. If you go and get Alexander Isak, like, the depth is insane. We don't know what's going to happen with Harvey Elliott, someone else they can sell. But they sold him to Bayern Munich for £65 million. He was announced today. I think we'll probably see him in person for Bayern Munich tomorrow. That's what reports are saying. But I mean, that is a really big amount. And that's money that they can put towards the Isak move. They can say, right, we've made 65 million of that. We've made, 40 million of Konsa. Yo, man, that's pretty much, that's already over 100. That's 105 million pounds already there and there that they can spend from what they've earned from just selling players. They still got Harvey Elliott. They still got Chiesa, someone that they might want to consider selling or loaning out somewhere. I mean, they've got Darwin Núñez, who, again, I know his Napoli move has kind of fallen through because they've gone for that striker from Udinese. But, yo, Arsenal Nation, it's looking crazy. The money these man have, I was like, yo, I've never seen Liverpool like this in my whole life of like watching football, and supporting Arsenal. I was like, Liverpool aren't known to be big spenders compared to the big six and compared to Real Madrid, Barcelona. They're not like the big spenders. They're kind of like, right, we're gonna pay a cheeky this, or we're gonna get the guy who nobody really knows much about, or he's kind of an unsung hero, or someone who's not like high on the radar, and makes them into something really great. And the way they're moving right now is freaky. It's mad. But I mean, Luis Diaz, I want to say that Liverpool fans respect, love him, care about him. I mean, he's won the league with them. He's won the Carabao Cup. Has he won FA Cup? I can't remember when you signed Luis Diaz. He came from Porto. They've made back the money that they spent buying him. Like, he will be remembered fondly. I don't want to call him a legend. I think that's a bit high of a word, but he'd be remembered fondly from Liverpool fans. I mean, he's very passionate. I can think of some good moments that he's had against my club. And the way he started this season especially was incredible. I mean, he started the season really well. And yeah, I mean, boy. Crispy Sesh says, Elliot Doak plus some cash for Isak, bro. It's wild. Oh, the main Anon says he's 28. Okay, so you moved a 28-year-old. You moved a 28-year-old for that amount. How is Luis Diaz 28, by the way? That's kind of crazy. That's actually kind of wild. But, I mean, it's good times for Liverpool. But just to wrap up on a couple other things, Inter are pushing for Ademola Lookman of Atalanta. I think Inter proposed 45 million euros, but Atalanta want 50 mil. Do you know what? I think that's really fair. If you consider the likes of Madueke, the likes of Gittins, João Pedro, players that aren't even half of Ademola Lookman, have gone for around that 50 million pound mark, considering 50 million euros is probably about 40 million pounds. He's definitely worth more than that. We've seen what he's done for Atalanta. He's an Atalanta legend. The way he's been for Nigeria in recent years, incredible. I think for Inter, who have had a really disappointing season, that's a really good signing. I mean, one thing I've always said about Inter is that they're an Asian team. They've got so many old players in their team. That midfield is about 35 years on average. I think if they can get, I know Ademola Lookman, I want to say, actually, Ademola Lookman's like 27, but he'd still be younger. He's younger, more athletic. I think trying to get someone like him would be really good for them, but let's see how that happens. And then, we spoke about Stefan Ortega, but let's remember that Victor Gyökeres, my guy, he's been announced now. Hopefully we're going to see him tomorrow against Spurs. We've got Mo Kudus to Spurs as well, so we might see him as well. But yeah, that's all of it for today. So I just want to thank everyone. But before I go, transfers, drama, and now your survival instincts get tested. It's time for Final One Standing. It's free to play. There's a 500k jackpot. No admin fees, and it's guaranteed winners. Just pick one Premier League team to win each week, and if they do, then you're through. If they lose or they draw, you're out. Download the William Hill app, scan the QR code on the screen, or click the link below to enter. Register for free and make your pick for a shot at £500,000. You have to be 18 plus, and it's only for the UK and Ireland. But remember to always gamble responsibly, and the full terms and conditions apply, all linked below. I just want to thank you everyone, big up the chat, and we'll be back tomorrow. Peace.